As the new year has come and gone, I was looking through some old footage of things, and I have come to realize that I have owned my camera now for a whole year. I have learned a lot in a year, but I also realized that I've never actually just thrown it out there, what I'm doing with this channel, why I want to make videos, stuff like that. So real quick, if you didn't know, I have an obsession with two-wheeled things, bicycles in particular. Another thing that I have an obsession with, a little bit too much at times, is film, movies. I have a physical DVD collection that I still enjoy to this day. When people come over, I still show them my DVD collection and show them how it is alphabetized by director. Kind of like the booger collection you had as a kid. Over a year ago, I thought people still filmed stuff with a camcorder, and after doing a bunch of research, I was like, wow, I can make videos. Like, when I was growing up, that never entered into my mind. I thought that films were like this magical realm that I would never be able to be a part of. Not saying I'm making movies, I'm doing little YouTube videos, but that is what led me to do these. And why would I do them about anything else besides bicycles? So I cover topics that include the brands that I have access to, being Giant, Orbea, Bianchi, which is what this current video is going to be about. And I also cover the amateur races that me and my friends do. Kayla keeps hounding me that I need to ask people to like and subscribe. So if you do like this content type stuff, you can do that if you want. That just feels so nasty asking stuff like that. I just thought with the new year, let's put out some new goals. Let's get to it. Let's review this Bianchi. So what you have laid your eyes upon is the Bianchi Sprint. If you missed the last video that had this bike in it, I did a somewhat of an unboxing video for this guy. We went over the weight, what it comes with. Not going to do all that here. This is strictly going to be more of my review of the bicycle, my first impressions. Had a few rides on it now. But if you want to check out the first video, I will leave a link in the description or in front of you right now or somewhere. That will happen. It will happen somewhere. But moving on to the actual bike. Bianchi Sprint was actually launched in the early 70s, I think, and it was highly regarded at its time. And Bianchi has simply just reused the name, as do, most companies. But we're gonna do this as more of a pro and con style. After spending a few days on it, I kind of have the feel for this bike. So some very good pros. There's not a lot of bicycles, especially in road bikes now, that just make me go like, holy crap, wow, and this is amazing. Like, there's only so much you can do, in my opinion. This bike did not disappoint me. It was extremely comfortable. I felt right at home when I got on it. And the only thing that I can say that really surprised me with the bike is that it rides a lot better than its weight, if that makes sense. So it does not feel near as heavy, and I think that's because the frame is very stiff. The through axles help stiffen it up a lot. I'm sure if I took it to Beach Mountain and climbed, I would maybe feel the weight of the bike at its stock weight. With as stiff as this thing is, I would really have to do some hard thinking between it and my 16.5 pound TCR. Like, there's not a big difference for it to weigh, 2 to 3 pounds more. I think, I'll have to check the old video, but I think it weighed around 19 pounds out of the box with everything stock on it. So I have not ridden this bike with the carbon wheels yet. That's something that I really want to do to really test this guy out, but I've ridden it completely stock long enough to get a feel for it. So some of the really good pros: it is extremely stable. This isn't a surprise, it's a Bianchi. Bianchi is known for its racing heritage. Every bike that I've ever thrown a leg over from Bianchi seems extremely planted. Even the Nitron mountain bike that I'm riding and racing on, it is very planted. That's the best way I can describe it. So cornering on this guy, extremely predictable, and it just handles great. It feels great underneath you. I guess this probably did surprise me a little bit. Usually, whenever I get a bike, even though I take all the measurements and I try to get the thing set up as close to what I'm riding currently, it usually feels a little odd the first few times you ride a bike. Like, you have to, you know, you kind of got to get used to it, tweak things here or there. Immediately, the first ride on this bike was extremely comfortable. Either I just got very lucky, which can happen, and the bike is just set up perfect for me the very first time I ride it, but it is very comfortable. I kind of thought maybe since it doesn't have countervail, I would notice it being a little bit more harsh, especially because this is supposed to be Bianchi's more price point high-end bike. But it was very comfortable to ride. Like, I do not think you need countervail after riding this bike. I love the Ultra. If money's no object, Ultra is awesome. I'd get it just to say you got it, but this Sprint rides pretty dang good. And another pro, the price point. You can't get around this bike having a phenomenal price point for what it is. Even Giant does not have an AXS equipped bike for $5,000. So I think that's phenomenal. The wheels did surprise me a little bit. The wheels are a little heavy, but they surprised me in a good way. I did not notice them. I think they roll super well. Around my area, it's rolling hills. Our long climbs, since we're in the foothills, are maybe a 4-minute climb, and those you kind of have to seek out. Most of it's, you know, sub 2-minute hills. Around here, those wheels were perfectly fine. They did not hinder me whatsoever, and I think that's because they're stiff and they have, you know, nice sealed bearings on the inside of them. They're not bad wheels whatsoever, but I'm still excited to put some carbon on this bike and see how they go. Another thing you can't get around, even if this bike sucked, I still just could not get around how beautiful it is. That may just be me. I love this bike and how it looks. Bianchi says that they tried to pare back on the aesthetics. Maybe from 5 feet away it's pared back, but you get up close on this, all the little details, all the little Bianchi logos that they have placed throughout this guy. I think this bike is beautiful. I actually prefer it over like the Ultra and stuff. The only thing that rivals it in my opinion is the Specialisma, and I'm usually not one to just fall head over heels in love with a bicycle solely because of the looks, but this one had me at hello. And some of the cons of the bike. Because of the price point and because it's got AXS, like I said in the unboxing video, what you're really paying for with this price point is to have a Bianchi carbon frame, race ready frame, and group set. That is the Sram AXS. All the other stuff on this it's price point stuff, like the stem, the handlebars, the seat post. They're a little on the heavier side. The wheels are nothing amazing, but it gives you a complete package. So I don't think that's too much of a con. Another pretty big con, this bike is just so beautiful that it attracts all the squirrels in the area. They try to just ravage the bicycle.
Move my kid.
Whoa!
Oh gosh, he's still alive.
Damn.
My kid's on the hopes.
He's pretty soft on my foot. At this price point for this bike, the only con that I can think of from it being stock is the weight. I don't think that's a bad thing, because this bike with a new set of wheels on it, and after we put all the carbon goodie bits on it, like the handlebars, the stem, yada yada, this can be at least a 17-pound bike. And that's with like mid-grade carbon components. That's not even if you go above and beyond with your price points. I don't think that the weight should stop anyone from purchasing this thing. You just have to ride it first. So there again, these are all my first impressions. You truly need to ride this thing before you make a decision. If you can find one, take it for a test ride. Don't even think about the weight when you get on it. And I would love to hear what you thought about the bike, because for me, whenever I got on it and I started pedaling up some of the hills, I really tried to punch it and tried to feel the weight of the bike. It handles very well. It doesn't feel sluggish. It doesn't feel like a 19-pound road bike you would think would feel. So literally cons, just the weight of the stock bike, but what are you gonna do? Oh, and I do love the gearing on the AXS stuff. I know that's not about the bike in particular, but I could do a whole video on just that SRAM AXS. I really like Di2 from Shimano. I think SRAM really tried to, instead of one-upping Shimano and just making a better product than Shimano, because I think they're very hard to compete against, SRAM tried to just do something completely different from them, and I think they have succeeded. I really like having the 48 as a big ring and having that 10 tooth on there. The gear jumps between each shift they seemed very nominal. Maybe it's just the area that I live in, but it felt great. Every time I shifted, it didn't feel sluggish at all. I loved it. I never felt like I was in too hard of a gear or too easy of a gear. There was not really that in-between stuff. I do think that maybe the programming isn't as well as what you get with Shimano. That's only because, like, when you would go from the little ring to the big ring, it would take it slightly longer to do the trim shift to where there was no rub. But you know, it's not a big deal. It still did it. It just wasn't as precise and as quick as the Shimano stuff. I was more impressed with the gearing and the gear ratios that the bike was equipped with because of having that 48 on there. That it didn't matter to me. You know, the whole like Formula 1 shifting, that was pretty nice. I didn't dislike it. It's not like I went, holy crap, every bike's got to have that on there. It's just different. That is all of my pros and cons that I could think of for this bike. I am thoroughly enjoying it. Usually it takes me a few months before I can really nail down what I like and dislike about a bike. So I think in a few months I may have a completely different opinion of this thing, but for the time being, I enjoyed the crap out of it. And I really thought that I would just think the bike is beautiful, but it's a bicycle. It wouldn't surprise me as much as it did. But I really enjoy it. I'm ready to get back out there and take another spin on it. So that's about all the time that I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed. If you do have any questions, feel free to ask them, and I will try to address them as quickly as possible. Other than that, we are going to get back to racing here this coming weekend, so I hope to see you all at Short Track. Later.